So, good afternoon. Hope everyone is well. Thank you for joining us. Apologies that we're a little bit later for our live stream today. Just going to check the sound is working okay. Hope everyone... Yeah, we're working fine then. Yeah, as you can see from the title, we're doing something a little bit different to what we've been doing for the past few weeks. Where we're going to do a little bit of the scroll sawing as well as the wood carving. I'm going to start off demonstrating the wood carving, and yeah, it's basically, I don't like to do one thing for too long in terms of demonstrations and stuff, so that's why I thought, yeah, we'll do a little bit of scroll sawing for everybody to see. I just noticed that looks a little bit, we're looking a bit dark there today, aren't we? Let's try and brighten this up. Let's see if that helps. May have overcooked it, but hopefully that will help. Yeah, the reason that I thought we'd have a little bit of a look with the scroll saw, bit of a strange one really. We've had a number of requests, Christmas decorations. So I thought it'd be a good chance to just demonstrate some of the processes that we use when it comes to the scroll saw. The first thing I'm going to demonstrate though, as you can see, I've got set up in the vise this piece of wood. What I'm going to demonstrate is hand carving this engraving on the back. So this is a bespoke Lovespoon that we've been asked to make. As you can see, they want the engraving on the back, to ma'am with love, and a little kiss on there. So that's the idea then. That's what we're going to do, is to start off by demonstrating how we go about doing it. The main tool that I use for doing the engraving is this one here. And that is actually a vintage Sorby gouge. Beautiful gouge to work with. So hopefully, yeah, we'll get everything lined up properly. Nice bit of steel to work with, and it does a good job. So the idea, I'm going to do it on the back of the heart, and I'm thinking of doing to ma'am, and then we got with love, and then a little kiss. So I think actually I'm going to start off with the section of with love. So we got, first thing I do, I count the letters. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4. So we've got 8 letters. So we're going to have the with roughly on the one side, and then love roughly on the other side. There we are. So we'll take it away. Just checking, I can see, yeah, that's better now. I've brightened everything up. That's a lot better. You should be able to see it a lot more clearly. So let's just have a little look. So we start off, we've got Thomas the Woodcarver here, and I've just realised I've still got my phone on there. Do you want to take that one through for me?
What do I do? Take that D off.
There we are, that's good organisation. Yeah, so this is going to be the H of with. So I just start off by just curling that around, just like so. And what I will do, when I do the engraving, I do all of our stop cuts first of all, and then afterwards, I will just take a little bit of wood out just to get some extra detail. And here's my terrible organisation, because I'm thinking I've forgotten to put some oil there. Anyway, we'll carry on so you can actually see the engraving being done. Hopefully Thomas the Woodcarver will be back at some stage and he can give me some oil to be able to see it being brought up. So that's the H. We then go on to the T. And I know what you're probably watching this and thinking, well, why are you carving backwards? Simple reason, I find it easier to start in the middle and work both ways, as opposed to doing it left to right. Again, personal preference. Dad, he prefers to just carve it left to right. That's his preference. What I find can happen when you do that, and what does happen to Dad, you can either end up running out of space on the side, or you end up where it isn't quite symmetrical. So we've got the T, the H. We then go on to doing the I. Different methods as well you can use for doing this. I prefer to just do it freehand. That's how we basically learn how to do a lot of things here at our family workshop. There's no right or wrong. If you're not confident in doing this, if you're a beginner and you haven't got the confidence in doing it in this way, then what you can do is mark it all on the wood before you start, and then just carve it using the guidelines. But it's what works for you. I just checked that that's all on okay. Yeah, it's just what works for you as an individual. There's not sort of a right or wrong way of doing it. It's just suggesting different methods that you might want to use. So as you can see, that's our width. We need a full stopper for the full stop just above the eye. And then we're going to go straight on to doing our love. Now there's a few little bits you'll notice that we still have to carve on there, so I'll come back to it. So we want a nice little gap in between the two words. And we've got a relative straight. We don't actually use straight chisels for doing engraving. We used curved gouges. Simple reason for why we use curved gouges. If you use straight lines, they have to be perfect. They have to be absolutely spot on. As if you use the curved gouges, you get a little bit of creative license with it. You get away with a bit more using those curved gouges. That's why we use them. So you just see, we do 4 cuts for doing the O. And the V then, I'm going to change gouges. I'm just going to go for one that is ever so slightly straighter. Similar size, just a slightly straighter one. Lovely gouge, that one there. It's a Herring Brothers. You'll actually see it flexing sometimes as we're cutting with it, but a really nice gouge to work with. So we do the other side of the V. And to finish off this line of engraving, we just put the E to finish off the with love. A very appropriate carving to include upon a love spoon. So that's the first little part. Reason I've done it as well, started on that middle line, is because I'm a bit concerned about having enough space above and below. Oh, we've got somebody who's joined us. Let's have a quick check. Hello, Lawrence. Thank you for joining us. Great to have you with us. Hope this is useful. Hope everyone enjoys. We're going to be going on to doing some scroll sawing work in a minute. So that's what we're going to go on to. So you can see we've got our with love. I've given myself then plenty of room to do that kiss below. So we use, again, a curved gouge. And so the kiss that we end up doing, it looks a little bit like the, I think it's the Xbox, isn't it? Where the symbol off that, but it's just a kiss just below, just like so. If you've just joined us, what we're doing is getting that, getting all of our stop cuts marked out on this engraving first, and then we'll finish it all off after we've done that. So at the top here, we've got 2 mam, so it's 5 letters. But it'll be a capital T, so you're working out, see, whereabouts you think that will work out about symmetrical. So what I'm working out, that's the centre of our heart. So I think if we just start ever so fractionally, yeah, I think we'll start off actually right in the middle with the mam. So we just do the side cuts, so we're starting off in the middle, because you've got to work it out. You're trying to get it as symmetrical as possible. So to get the 2, we've got T-O, and then we're going to have a little gap between the 2 names, and then we're going to put the mam afterwards. So I'll start off with the mam. Looks like we've got a question now. Go and check it. 2 seconds. Bear with me. So again, we're doing those stop cuts down into the woods. Let's have a little look. What are we asking? Oh, hello, it's the carver. There we are. Oh, a new pup. Very nice too. Glad you can join us. Great to have you here. Now that this live stream, hopefully it'll be relevant to you. I was explaining we've had an upsurge in interest in Christmas things, which is a bit strange, but because of that, I haven't got any of the the Christmas tree decorations, I haven't got any ready. So I'm going to demonstrate how we cut them out. So hopefully it'll give you a chance to see how we use the scroll saw, because I know we spoke about this, the scroll saw with the carver, and hopefully you'll be able to see then how we use it to rough out our projects before we carve them. Yeah, useful bit of kit, the scroll saw. I highly recommend them to people. So we got the M, we got the A, and then another M to finish off mam. If you're wondering why it's mam, that's how we say it in Wales. That's how we say it here in Wales. So in England it tends to be more mum. In Wales it tends to be mam. In the US, how do you say it? You'll have to let us know. Is it mom? I don't know. I probably said that terribly, not very well at all. But there we are. We got the last letter, and I'm just conscious that we are going quite a distance across now, so that's why I'm trying to drag it back. As well, what I'm trying to do, we're trying to roughly get it nice and level. It looks to me that we're just getting a little bit lower on that side. So what I will do to match it up, I will bring this M down just a fraction. So what you're doing, truth of it is, I'm covering up little mistakes that I'm making as I'm going, you know, which is basically, we were talking about that one last week with the carver. It's a process of learning how well you can cover up those little errors, those little mistakes. So we got the O, and you may notice with the engravings, I always find that's why I'm a little bit slower probably in my speech. I'm concentrating a little bit more to do an engraving like this one than a lot of the carving that I do, because it's a more precise, I find it is anyway, a very precise job to do. So that's the line for the T, and then we got the piece across the top to go. There we are. So that marks out, and so we got it roughly. If I was being really critical, I could have come across a little bit further, and that was what I was debating, was whether to start that M, but that M ever so slightly further across, but that is being very, very critical. What I'm going to just do is to just bring that one, just lengthen that a little bit so it reduces the amount of space there. And now we're just going to take out those little bits of extra wood, and this, what we will do afterwards. Typical of myself, I'm afraid, on organisation, I forgot to put the oil on the bench. So what we would do with an engraving like this is, after we finish carving it, we would just drop some oil, and then it just brings it out, because you get that contrast between the shellac and the oil. Where we're cutting through the shellac, it just sharpens it a little bit. It's also a good technique, because in the future, if it dulls a bit, all anybody needs to do is to put a little bit of oil in it again, and it'll bring the engraving back out. So you can see we just go all around the stop cuts, taking out a little bit of wood, not too much. And that's the process for how we do lowercase letters and engravings on our Lovespoons. I know there's other techniques. You've got things like the pyrography is popular, you know, burning the names on there, that sort of thing. But for ourselves, we're wood carvers. As much as we can, we prefer to carve it on there. So just a little bit of detail. Yeah, interesting one. As I said, there's been a little bit of interest in the Christmas decorations, which is incredible for the time of year. But it's all good because it keeps us busy. And so we'll demonstrate how we cut those out on our scroll saw, and then afterwards we will show you how we carve them too. So we're just going round. For any of you who are interested, the wood that we are working in here is a piece of oak, and we use all sorts, as we mentioned before. So it's been marked out with that vertical grain. So we're carving in the direction of the grain as much as possible. And this one then, I believe, it will be heading off to Newport. So the other end of South Wales. We're on the west, the southwest of Wales. This is going to the southeast. That's him there. And then just to finish off, just to take a little bit of detail, either side. Oh, I've missed one cut. It's amazing how many times I've missed another one as well. So we've got the T. We just use a little spike one for doing the T. And I've also noticed that I've missed the H. Just a little bit of detail on the H, just like so. So there you go, just using some simple carving gouges. That's a simple method that we use to do an engraving. And it's a good thing to learn. This engraving they've asked for on the back. It's a good thing to learn because you can personalize your work. So you can make it personal to the individuals. So with the Lovespoon then, we get asked to do it quite often. Excuse me, another technique we use is with the scroll saw where we will cut the initials out inside, say for instance, entwined hearts. But that's another method that we use. Right, that's why I was a little bit late today. It's taken me a while to set up because I'm going to do the scroll saw as well. It's the first time I've done it in a while. So I'm going to move the camera across and get it focused in on the scroll sawing. So bear with me 2 seconds. We move it across and we'll demonstrate the scroll sawing to you. Here we go. It's a little bit easier with this camera than my old camera because this one's got the autofocus. I'm hoping that you can see it nice and clearly. I've upped the, I thought it was a bit dark starting off, so we've upped the brightness. Here we go. These are our Christmas decorations. So, whilst I'll be using the machine, I'll have my mask on and the ear defenders, so you won't be able to hear. But this is a complete set of Christmas tree Lovespoon decorations that we make. I'll just check as well. Sir, scroll saw, own design, creative software name. Okie dokie. Here we are. Right. Not sure what that one means. But let us know what you're asking us there on that particular one. Yeah, so I'm going to start off. I do things in a specific order. There's a couple of things to get to this stage. And you'll have to excuse me any questions. I got my back at the moment to the computer, so I'll miss them. But what I do to get it to this stage, when you're using a scroll saw, if the piece of wood is not level and even and flat on the bed, if it's sort of rocking round, it increases the vibration because the scroll saw vibration is quite a big issue then really. If you have excessive vibration, it will massively affect the performance of your scroll saw, of your machine. I'll just refocus that just in case it is out of focus. So if you sand it flat, so what I've done before I started, I put these on the belt sander and I've sanded them nice and flat on the back. Now this one here, this is the blade that we work with. Probably the camera is not quite gonna pick up on that one there because we need to zoom in on it. But this is what they call reverse tooth blades. It's a Nikua number 9. You'll hear me talking about it a lot. I got no association with them or anything like that. It's just the blade that I use, and for the thickness of wood that I'm working in, it is perfect for the job. It does a good job, and what I find you don't need, because there's a lot of debate between what's better, scroll saw, bandsaw. Well, they do slightly different jobs. The scroll saw, though, it has a couple of advantages. One, it can do those internal cuts, the pierce work. Two, and I know that there are exceptions to the rule, but the second one then is that the scroll saw, it gives you a finer finish in general. So with this blade, it definitely gives you a finer finish. So there we are, I get straight into it. I will check if there's any questions before I start. How to design scroll saw? Ah, right, I'm with you. Fantastic. Yeah, good question. We can do that on another video, how we go about designing scroll saw projects. Absolutely, yeah, useful one if you're learning that sort of thing. But yeah, we'll go through it, how we go about the process of designing scroll saw projects. Right then, I think I will start with our tree, Christmas tree decoration. So I'm just going to demonstrate how we cut that out. Yeah, I can talk a little bit about how we do that afterwards. So bear with me. I'm going to have the mask on and the ear defenders, and we will demonstrate the process. Okay, so hopefully that gives you a little idea, and it's a few little comments coming through. Hopefully it gives you an idea of how to use the scroll saw. The scroll saw he's going to show me one day. Hello everyone, hi Midnight Joker, thank you for joining us. Yeah, hopefully that gives you a little bit of an idea. I'll demonstrate one more, and then we'll do some carving. I'll bring that camera in. That's as close. Let's try and bring it in a little bit closer for you all. Hopefully we'll get you a better angle. The idea, see, we use this a lot where we demonstrate cutting out on the, yeah, I think that angle is going to work better. There we are. Right. So we do those internal cuts. So these pierce cuts first of all. And the good thing about using a scroll saw is it gives you that basic outline. So when it comes to the wood carving, you've already got your outline cut ready for you. So it's a really useful piece of equipment. It's a nice machine as well to work with. This one here is a Hegner multi-cut. And I've seen there's a lot of different designs. There's a newer design, more complicated design, I think is the words that I would use. And I'll be honest, I haven't tried that one, but all I can say is that this design, the Hegner, it just uses these two arms and the blade goes up and down, and it's a lovely, really nice, well-made machine to work with. So what I'll do, I'll cut out one more of these. It's either the dove, or I think I will cut out that one there, the star, and then we'll take them across and we'll show you the carving of them. The difficulty always with demonstrating the scroll saw is getting this hand here so it's not blocking the camera basically. So the technique that I'm demonstrating is slightly adapted because I'm well aware that yourselves, I want you to be able to see it. So I'll just take any questions, get them in. More than happy to answer anything that you may want to know about. If there's... Oh dear, 2 seconds, bear with me. Are you using a spiral blade? Yeah, good question. No, we're not. We're using a reverse tooth blade. The spiral blade, what you'll see is when people work with the spiral blade, because the blades go twisting right the way around, you'll see people, they'll be working more in this way, as with me, you'll see me having to turn it right the way around. So the spiral blade, it can cut in all different directions because it is spiraling in design. The problem, there is a problem with working with them, generally speaking, and this may just be a personal thing because you'll see a lot of other people working very successfully with spiral blades. I find all of the spiral blades I've tried, I can't get as good a quality finish on my cuts, and I generally find that they are more difficult to work with. So that's why I use this one here, the reverse tooth blade. But we're all different. What I always recommend people to do is to try the different ones, see what suits yourself. Personally, I prefer a reverse tooth blade. I prefer a standard blade to a spiral. I've never got on with spiral blades. It could be down to the fact that I learnt scroll sawing using standard tooth blade and reverse tooth blades. So don't, just because I'm saying that I don't like spiral blades doesn't mean that they won't work for yourself. But no, this is a reverse tooth Nikwa number 9. So yeah, I will demonstrate cutting this one out. I'll use the same process again. One thing I would point out, on the one thing that I don't like on this Hegner is the quick release. Because of the carving we do, we build up calluses on our hands, and this quick release, this metal one that you'll see on the Hegner, oof, it's really abrasive. It's the one thing I wish that they would change on that machine. We actually put a block, we did a video on it, we put a wooden block around it to protect our hands. Any other questions as well while I'm scroll sawing? Get them into us and I'll do my best to answer them. The blade is way too sharp. No boom. Yeah, it's a fantastic. They give you a really good finish. Basically, hopefully you can see that on the camera. The differences you've got here, that is scroll saw, and you're pretty much good off the blade itself. This is band saw, and that's got a lot of work
what it is, I will put that on our belt sander and we'll sand all of that to take out all of those marks. But yeah, the scroll saw, the quality of the finish, that is one of the big benefits of using it. A really useful piece of kit. But there we are. We will get on to this star one. Mask back on. There's a few other things just before I put on the mask. You'll notice you've got this blower. That's useful because you will see, different times people are trying to use a scroll saw without. There's a bellows on the back, and the blower, what it does, it blows the dust out of your line of sight. Also, I've got a video coming up on this where I explain different techniques and things. I generally work to the outside edge. So I just take out the sort of outside third of the line itself. Some people do it differently. Again, try different techniques, see what works for you. And the other thing for anyone who's a beginner, I advise to do the pierce work first. So do your internal cuts, then do your outline. Reason for that is when you cut your outline, you've got a smaller piece of wood. So your hands then, with a smaller piece of wood, your hand's going to be getting closer to the blade. It's not a blade that's really going to cause a nasty cut. It's one of the safer machines, I regard it as, in our workshop. There was a good description. I saw a video, a gentleman doing some top tips for beginners, and he put it very well. It's kind of like not being afraid of the blade on this one would kind of like being afraid to draw pictures because you don't want to get a paper cut. Really isn't a dangerous machine in comparison to some of the others. There we are. We shall do some more scrolling. Okay, so there we are. We've got two of our Lovespoon Christmas decorations cut out. I'm just checking. We're all okay there? Yeah, great. Okay, we got something, good ideas for vacuum cleaner, for scroll saw Hegner. I don't know what that one's about. So the scroll saw will pay for itself in the amount of time it's said. Yeah. Yeah, in terms of the difference between scroll saw and coping saw, yeah, massively saves you quite a lot of time. I just see, am I on camera there? Hopefully, you check on the back of the camera there for me, dear. Am I on? Do you want to just adjust it? So, is that better? We on properly?
I want to go up a bit now.
The challenges of sorting things out.
That's lovely.
Is that
That's
it?
fine. Yeah.
Right.
That's
yeah.
fine.
So something you don't see very often, my face. So we've cut those two out. Some little things then to point out that I'm doing. You may notice that I'll cut the one way and then turn round and cut the other way. You mentioned, the carver mentioned it, burning. You can get problems with burning, and that's why I'm turning that blade round. If you try and do a sharp turn, and I've got a video that will be coming up in the next few months where we speak about, this. If you try and do a sharp turn, the back of the blade can burn the wood. So that's why you'll see me cutting to a sharp point there, and then I'll come in and I'll cut down to there. And that gives you a clean finish. If I try and turn the blade round and carry on round there, that's when you get issues with burning.
I mean, the simple word is let the saw do the work.
Yeah, absolutely. I think somebody was talking as well. I think they were speaking about it though in German. You can get a vacuum cleaner. Yeah, you can. You can get a dust extractor as well. But basically, we got that blower on there to blow the dust away. We just tidy it up afterwards where we're working. We got another scroll saw in there. If we got the scroll saw in there, we've got the dust extractor for it. But if he's working for Hegner or something, if they want to send us a vacuum cleaner for our scroll saw, we'll put it to good use.
Well, there is a fitment here.
Yeah, there is.
You know,
There's an attachment.
An attachment for the
we've
dust.
never used it because we've used the dust extractors and that sort of thing. But yeah, fantastic bit of kit. If you are working with the coping saw, it will pay for itself. You know, we've had this one 20 years. It's only been broken once, and that was by me the other day, and you'll see that again on another video.
Again, there's a smaller
ones, bigger ones, but this isn't a Hegner advert. No. But we do recommend them, but we got nothing to do in terms of association. So what I will do, I'll take these across to the bench and I'll demonstrate carving.
You need this too, you do.
Oh, look at that! There you go.
You need this, you see.
I got to carve them with that on now, have I? There we go. So we've got a. I can't carve it in front of the eyes. So we got these two here. Just completely out the blue. All of a sudden, we've everything's gone Christmas again. So we'll demonstrate for you. And anyone wondering, those ones, they're pieces of oak. I got to take that away. There we are. Bear with me. We'll just move it back around to the bench. Oh, as Thomas the Woodcarver, you haven't said hello to everyone. You haven't said Prynawn da.
Prynawn da. Good afternoon, everyone. Lovely afternoon here. Still a bit cold. Just been around the field, having a look at the trees, and they're all coming into bud. Beautiful.
It's spring is starting to feel as if spring is on its way, isn't it?
And the trees. When did we plant? 2 years ago, was it?
You had a big, you did have a big session of planting, didn't you, a couple of years back?
Good.
Right, I'm gonna ask you to do I'm gonna ask you to do a job for me. That one there, if you could have a little look, just a bit of oil on that one there, just whilst I carve these two.
And you're just looking at the.
Okay, there we are. So, right, so we've got this one here.
What do you want to do?
And we're going to start off. The oil on that one there. It is. So we're going to start off just in terms of the bowl. The way we started that one off is we've taken the bulk of the bowl out using a router and a template. But the problem with using a router and a template, it burns and it scuffs as it goes against the grain. Now the first thing I've got, look at that, we were sharpening these on the weekend, we haven't cleaned them up. So that actually made more mess than if I hadn't bothered. So it's just where there's a little bit of the honing paste left on the inside of the blade where we've been sharpening.
Oil you wanted on this one then?
Yes, please, just to bring up the engraving. So the good news is that I'm working with a good sharp gouge, because if there's honing paste on it, it means that we've been sharpening it. So what we're doing, we're just taking away that burn and where it's scuffed a little bit where it goes against the grain, just tidying that back up. The reason we use a router and a template to start the bowls, it just reduces some of the pushing that we have to do. So it just helps us out a little bit from that point of view. So you just take out a little bit like so. We then turn it round as we always do, so we're working with the grain. Turn it round in the vise and then cut it back the other way. So that's the first little part of the process in terms of the carving of our Christmas tree decorations. When it comes to then working with the scroll saw, I find, well, it's our sort of preferred combination, because we use a mix of the scroll saw and the hand carving. That's really what gives our projects, that is basically what most of our projects are based upon. So we started off, we get a basic profile using the scroll saw, and then we give sort of depth and detail and character to what we're doing using the hand tools, the hand gouges. Wednesday now we got an upload. It's one that I've been sitting on for a little while. It's a video I've been waiting to upload. Hopefully you'll all enjoy it. It's some project ideas. Hopefully as well, gentleman who's asking about designing, gives you some ideas. When it comes to designing, we sort of take inspiration from all sorts of different areas. So, a lot of the designing that we do, I don't sort of have a separate idea when it comes to designing between the wood carving, the love spoons then that we make, the wood carving that we do, and the scroll sawing we do. Sometimes you have to adapt it to cater for the limitations of each discipline, but generally speaking, I design in the same way. So, for instance, when you're working in the scroll saw, you have to create. If you're just working on the scroll saw, you have to use the pierce work to mimic some of the effects that you can create with hand carving, and then vice versa. There's certain things that you might have to do differently. When it comes as well then to the designing, there's all sorts of different ways that you can do it. One method you can use is take a photo of something, put it into something like Photoshop, black and white, crank up the contrast, and then use that as an image to work from. You can also then find sort of stock images, that sort of thing. You can draw freehand. Most of what we have then in terms of designing, it's where people ask us, can we have a particular design? So for instance, I don't know, Celtic knots. So we'll include the Celtic knot. And what we do when it comes to Lovespoons then, we're trying to get things in proportion, that sort of thing. But the nice part with it, when it comes to all the different things, the scroll saw and the carving, there are no rules or regs. You don't have to restrict yourself. You can design however you want to. But that's the latest method I've been using, is using Photoshop, or there's Corel, Paint Shop Pro. There's programs like that. There's I'm trying to think of some of the other photo editing programs you can use. You basically take a photo, put it into there, turn it into a black and white image, play around with the contrast and getting rid of detail or adding detail, and you go from there. So yeah, just noticed we've got another comment there. It's fun to see someone working and you don't do anything yourself. There we are. Well, I'm glad you're enjoying, and we're enjoying making it. So I'm glad you're enjoying the demonstration. But that's a process that we go through. If you're wondering as well, on the other side of the bench, Thomas the Wood Carver is just going over my work, so nothing changes. Where I've done my engraving on the back, I can see he's currently changing it, so he's not happy with something. What have you noticed? Don't tell me you're going to say it wasn't level or something.
Well, it was going downhill a bit there.
Oh, it's going downhill, you reckon? All I say is I'm not sure he's got his glasses on straight. You show everyone now. Here we are. Now this is the engraving. Now that Thomas the Wood Carver's sorted it out.
Yeah, but I get the oil now.
I
get the oil. I'm going to get the oil.
Right. You haven't done what I think you've done. He's just... Right, I think he has got his glasses on wonky. It's going downhill now. You pulled the M down, didn't you?
No, I pulled the M up here.
You need to come down here now.
It's there. Yes, the double.
Right, what we're going to do... No, that's gone. He's got...
No,
right.
It's gone up there. I haven't touched the bottom. It's gone up. So.
We got some we've got some sorting out to do. Basically, that's what we're faced with at the moment.
It's fine.
So what we're going to do?
It's on the back of the spoon this time.
Yeah, we're just going to sort this one out. We come back to our Christmas decorations. We're going to sort this one out. I tell you what it is, see, because I should be carving there. So apologies to Thomas the Wood Carver. He's on the ball with this one. Where's that gouge gone? Here we are. So what's happened, that is just dropping down fractionally. So what I'm going to do, we're going to come over here. It's another good little demonstration for you to see. I'll begrudgingly tell him he's right. There we go. He was on the ball again. Well done, Thomas the Wood Carver.
There's still life in the old codger.
What it is, see, I tell you what's happened. See, I'm carving here.
Yeah.
So I'm making excuses for myself now. Nobody pointed out in the demo. Right. What it is because I'm sitting at an angle, it just, from where I was sitting, it looks straight. But it's way off. So we just got, what I've done, I'm just going to drag this side down a little bit. The same on the T. And that's the thing, with whatever mistakes, wherever you get it wrong and things like that, there's always a way of correcting it. So we're just dragging that down there. Let's have a little look. We pull that bit down a little bit further again. Just to give you an idea as well, if this was a really big problem, if you'd really out, the ultimate sort of solution would be to carve it out completely. So for instance, what I'm going to do, that E, we can just bring that up a little bit. So it's useful, hopefully it'll be useful to you anyway, to see how you can square things back up if you have an issue like this. So we're just judging, that's dropping down. So if we come this side, a little bit further down with the T, and a little bit further down with the O. So all I'm doing is to just balance up where I've made that mistake. But if you were really worried about it and you really thought you got it badly wrong, then all you can do is afterwards carve the whole thing out and start again.
We'll tell the truth behind it, you see. This of course was a deliberate mistake.
Oh yes. I deliberately messed it up so you could see me correcting it.
That's it, yeah.
I don't think so, but there we are. Right.
Not really. Yeah, we'll pass on. Yeah.
Not quite. It's still got some more work to go on it, but it's better than it was. Back to what we were demonstrating. I always remember that brings me back to years ago. We had a lady in here, and she was convinced. She said, all of your spoons, they're made on a machine. I said, well, they're not. I said, but how do you work that out? And she said, well, I've looked at all the flowers and they're all slightly to the left. And I said, well, it's got nothing to do with the machine, but it's the carver's got a bit of a wonky eye. And that's the truth, is that we're all left, what is it? We're all left eye dominant or right eye dominant, and
I have no idea.
yeah, something like that. And it was nothing to do with the machine. It was just every time I carved the flower, I got it ever so slightly wrong. But it just shows you can't take it too seriously, and you can't worry too much about it. You do your best. Sometimes you get it better than other times. And other than that, you've just got to do your best to cover up any mistakes you make. I think there's something quite philosophical for life in that, isn't there?
Yeah.
It's a bit of a philosophy for life. We're getting on to philosophy this afternoon. So what I'm going to do, same process. So you can see with that one there, and I think I'm going to give that to Thompson Wood Carver. You want to sand that for me and
Yeah.
sand it off?
Okay.
There we are. I'm on a roll there. I've managed to mess the carving up, and there we are. We'll sort it out in the end. There's nothing that we can't sort out. And I think that is very much how we approach the wood carving. Do you want to have a check as well? Is there any comment on there?
Okay.
Do you want to have a check for me? Just in case anybody's asked any questions.
Okay, I'll just clean this.
So the wood we use in here, a little bit of recycled oak. Nice timber to work in, the oak. Despite its reputation, it's got a nice grain. And it's, yeah.
The carver.
Yeah.
I'm looking at something upside down and backwards, and you want me to tell you it's
Fair comment. I'll take it on board. Yeah, I'll have to take. I'm trying to shift the blame off myself. That's the only thing. See. I'll have to take responsibility for that one. Definitely my wonky eye on that one. But there we are. I'll have to rebrand this live stream as the wonky carving demonstration. So we're just taking out that roughness on there. Just like so. And there's a little bit more we just need to take out of there, like so. And then we turn it round. I'd be fascinated to know over the years how many times we've done these same processes. Carving the bowl and then sanding the bowl. I dread to think over the years how much sawdust we've managed to create between us. It's a scary thought. But we've certainly enjoyed doing it. And that's the main thing. You've got to enjoy it. Now then, we're back to this one. Similar process then. So we do that stock cut at the top. And then just a little bit of, just taking that edge. Just ever so slightly beveling the edge. When Thompson Wood Carver comes back in as well, I will get him to share with everyone. He's working on the belt sander there. And we've mentioned it a couple of times. We found a company, UK based unfortunately for those of you watching in the US, but it's UK based company, and they're basically the company that make the sanding belts. So you can get 4 sanding belts from them for what you would normally be paying for one. So I'll get him to share the company name with everybody, because it is certainly going to be a big save for ourselves. We've even looked at it, to be honest, we've even thought about it where we may offer it to, we may buy some extras. Let us know if you're interested. We can buy some extras, even if you're in the US. We do ship into the US ourselves. Yeah, where we might buy some extras and then put it up on our website if you wanna have the belt sanders, the sanding belts at a reasonable price. So you can see we use those stock cuts, cutting down into the woods. The only drawback with it, I suppose, with that is that you'd need the same size belt sander as ourselves, so it would be a bit specific, but it's going to save us. We've also mentioned a few times we're going to be doing a video on the doll's house, and we've actually managed to get all the materials together. So all going well, we're going to film that this week. The plan is to do one video showing how we make a doll's house. It's a Welsh cottage themed doll's house, and then another video showing how you can make the simple bits of furniture to go inside. So that's another plan we've got that we're working on at the moment. It's taken us a while to get that all together. Interestingly, looking at it, the actual process of making one, it's not too bad. One of the longer parts of the process, one of the more time-consuming parts of the process, is we're gonna have to paint it. So that'll take us a little bit of time to sort it out. I've just been explaining to everyone as well the company name for the belt sanders. What was the company you contacted?
Oh, yeah.
I thought it'd be useful for everybody to know, just if they're...
I'll get it for you.
That's the only drawback. Would they need to be using the same size belt as us, or do they do different sizes?
A variety of
Oh, they
belts,
do they?
Yeah.
Ah, there we are. That'll go and get that contact now, because it's useful, because yourselves, you helped us out a lot. You helped us out with the clocks, so that was useful. That made a big difference, because it's allowed us to reintroduce clocks to our range. Just a little bit more detail, just like so. There we are. He's just asking Yelly, my wife, if she knows where the receipt is from it. So hopefully we'll be able to share that one with you all. So just a little bit more detail, just like so. And all we're doing, we're working on making it symmetrical, nice and even, same depth and same size of cuts on the one side as you do on the other. And to finish off, this one again, this will have to go in the same as the other one did on the belt sander, just to smooth it all over and take that paper drawing off. And what I might just try and do, I may go and get a piece of paper and finish off just by looking at a design. There we are. There. So we'll just sand that all off now on the belt sander. So where we got those bandsaw marks around the side and around the back. So you'll see on the side there, see that's quite rough, where it's just come off that bandsaw. So we use the bandsaw to do that angle and to do that cut there. Afterwards, on the belt sander, sand it all nice and smooth, just like so. At the top here then, you don't have to worry about that as much, because that's coming straight off that scroll saw. So a much finer finish. And that's the process then that we use for making simple little Christmas tree decorations. Don't ask me how we've all of a sudden had a run on it in the middle of, where are we, April? But we have. And that's how we make them. I just grab a piece of paper and a pencil, and we will have a little look at designing. 2 seconds. Right, bear with me. Pencil, ruler and paper. Here we go. So for instance, what we use when we're doing, oh that's clever, what we do a lot of when we're doing our designing, we use a lot of symmetry. And the way we've learnt to design, it's the same principles that we use for our spoons and for all of our different designs all in together.
The name for the sanding belts, Dave?
Name for the sanding belts? Yeah.
I don't know how to pronounce it. S-A-I-C.
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 There we are. So the sanding belts, S-A-I-C.
And it says sales at S-A-I-C.
So it's S-A-I-C
dash
S-A-I-C hyphen UK .co.uk. So any of you looking for cheap sanding belts,
telephone number as well, 01273 463 677.
So now this one here, the gentleman asking about designing.
Right, it says on here, for expert advice on abrasive belts to suit your particular application, please call that number. So there we are.
So those ones there, that company is a really good contact because their prices, they're a lot more reasonable than you know, a lot of the sort of hardware shops and things like that. They're a lot more reasonable.
And that's the other company as well. There we are.
Yeah, we're just looking at a design here now. Any thoughts? What can we demonstrate? Asking about designing for scroll sawing. Like for instance, we did one recently with a face, and what you've got to remember if you're doing something like a face with the scroll saw, you know, is that like if we're carving out a face, you know, you can actually carve the detail on. Problem with the scroll saw is you have to leave the wood. You know, you have to leave that wood attached. So that's the sort of thing. So for instance, the way we did the face, like the eyes, we did the eyebrows like that, and then another line coming through there for the eye itself. Because if you cut it out, then it completely disappears. So you come over there with the head. Yeah. But when it comes to designing, let's just demonstrate the process that we would go through. The thing that we spend the most of our time designing would be a Lovespoon. So we start off, when it comes to a Lovespoon, you design it on the one side. So you start designing just like so. And whatever you do on the one side, you're going to replicate on the other side. So let's have a little look. If we were going to do...
That's the joy of the Lovespoon though. It doesn't have to be symmetrical.
It doesn't have to be symmetrical, no. Let me think of something that we can include.
Well, heart, obviously.
The...
Welsh
What
feathers.
about if we put something like... Let's have a little look. Yeah, this would work. So when it comes to this, if we were doing something like that one there, so for instance this, we're adapting it to create almost like an anchor type design, and then maybe you'd bring a heart in just above. Yeah, so something, and it's basically as you go along, you can adapt the design. You can incorporate the symbols into it that you want. So we've started off with that, but we might want to do something like that, and then we can come around the outside maybe. So let's have a little look. So, what I'm basically going to do, whatever we do on the one side of the design, we'll replicate it on the other side of the design. So we've got it touching on the sides, so it's got to have that strength. This is a key aspect when you're working with wood, regardless of whether you're doing scroll sawing or wood carving. You have to make sure that you have strength in the design itself. And the designing is a nice part, it's a really nice part of the process. But as you can see, as we're going along, we've started with an initial idea, we've changed it, we've adapted it. It's having that sort of flexibility with what you do, evolving the design, changing it, and you keep adapting and improving it as you're going along. So we've got nice curves. That's something that we want. We're trying as well then, we would try to get everything nicely in proportion. So you don't want, like, what you don't want to end up with is a lot at the top and then nothing at the bottom, or a very large spoon and then you've got a small, you know, the rest of the Lovespoon itself is a bit sort of flimsy. You're trying to get things roughly in proportion. But as we sort of go along, you know, you can see from the process that I'm going through, I'll adapt it as we're sort of going. So what I've done is I basically designed on the one side of the paper. Dad, what I need now, I'm asking him if he can get me a pair of scissors. Dad, I could do with a pair of scissors and the light box. So all I'm going to do now, this is the process that we would go through for everything then that I've drawn on the one side. We'll have it nice and symmetrical on the other side. But because this is, you know, we're very much doing this off the hoof. So I may then afterwards go and adapt what I've actually designed. We've got a pair of scissors. And the light box stuff is in the corner there, it is. So what we're going to do, we're just going to cut this outline. So this will give us the shape of our spoon.
This is our primitive light box because the Chinese one we bought has gone kaput.
Yeah, we bought another one and it didn't last very long. I think we put it on the bench here, dear. Don't worry about it.
Okay, there it is then, okay.
We got a plug there for it?
If I took... Okay,
You can take the...
If I move this...
Yeah, great.
Okay. That lamp is sort of in the way there, dear.
We'll turn the lamp off, use the plug for the lamp and take the lamp out the way. That'll be fine. Right, so we've got our shape. Yeah, that's it. Okay, that's it. Okay, so this is our modified version of a light box.
Let me put the
Let's just get me light
bulb in there.
refocused. Right, so all we do, you've got your bulb in like so. It just means that we've got the light shining through on the other side. Let's just see that you got that on. Yeah, we got that on camera. So what we've done on the one side, we would just then trace it onto the other side. And I use the same principles for designing. I use it for our scroll saw projects, as well as our Lovespoon and wood carving projects. So just going around there. So quite sort of rudimentary. I think actually we'll adapt that. This is what we talk about as we go along. We're adapting the design all the time. So that, I think we'll thicken up what will be the main feature of our design. And again, we're just coming around like so. So we turn that one back off. There we are. And that there, I'll have a quick look before I show everybody, just to see if there's anything that just needs changing a little bit. So that one there, yeah, we would, same again, just little adaptations as you're going along.
I'll take this out of your way, David.
So
Don't
the
need
top,
that now, dear.
the top of that can go. No, that's fine. Yeah.
This one goes out of the way. That one comes out.
And that one just coming around like that. There we are. And that's then just a simple process, yeah, that we would use for.
Don't wait down this lamp, Dave.
That's a simple one for how we would design. There we go. We'll show you on there.
I'll put the light back on.
No, I'll leave that. There we go. So that just gives you a little bit of an idea of how we go about designing. And it's the same principles, as I said, if you're using the scroll saw, you know, if you're doing a project on the scroll saw, or if you're carving. So yeah, hopefully that's useful. Yeah, the light box. The problem we had with light boxes, I just noticed what Midnight Joker said there. The problem we had with the light boxes is that they just break too easily. So as you see, now this has just gone flying. So it didn't suit ourselves to have a conventional light box. So in the end, we just demolished
It was just
we just took apart a lamp, and
it was just a poor quality one.
yeah, unfortunately, the one that we had, it just didn't last very well. So yeah, there we go. Hopefully some of those ideas are useful. As always, any questions you've got, anything like that, let us know, and we'll do our best to help you out. Thank you all again for joining us. We'll be back again next week. As I said, this week's Wednesday's video is a scroll saw. Is some scroll saw projects. Hopefully you'll be interested. Some different ideas in there. I'm going to try, it's showing you how to make certain things. I'll try and get the designs up on the website, so check that out if you want to use it. Well, thank you all again, and we'll be back again soon.